I'm Glenn Witecki, and welcome to the Witecki Law Office in the Stockade in Schenectady, New York. Let's talk about healthcare decision-making for a minute. Let's talk about DNR. What is it and what isn't it? Oftentimes people tell me, I have a DNR. I signed a healthcare proxy, I signed a living will, and I have a DNR, so I'm not going to be resuscitated. But that's not accurate. What you may have is a healthcare proxy that says, for example, that if you're in a terminal condition, if medical treatment would be futile, if you're in a persistent vegetative state, or if you have some other condition where you wouldn't benefit from the medical treatment, then in those circumstances, you don't want any heroic measures or treatments to keep you alive. That's what a typical healthcare proxy or living will would say, but it's not a DNR, because a DNR is a medical order not to resuscitate. So you have to keep in mind that the situation I just described is qualified by your condition and the circumstances. So in your document, you're saying you don't want to be resuscitated if you're terminal, if you're in a persistent vegetative state, and other conditions. But before the DNR takes effect, where you won't be resuscitated, someone has to make a determination as to whether or not you've met the criteria and you're in a situation where you don't want to be resuscitated. And that's where a conference with a doctor comes in, and your healthcare proxies, your medical providers, and together you make that decision on whether or not further treatment is appropriate. If you can make that decision yourself, then you will make it in consultation with your healthcare providers. If you're unable to make that because you lack capacity or unconscious or some other situation exists which prevents you from exercising your choices or having capacity, then the person you named as your healthcare proxy will participate in that decision-making process. But then and only then would your physician issue an order saying that you should no longer be resuscitated under any circumstances.